talk, and I'm going to start by sharing my screen with you, and we're going to be looking at a hand from last week that I thought was quite interesting. So this was the result from last week's game, the 14th of October, and if you look at this hand, you can look at the hands in various ways. One of them is by clicking on the Real Bridge link here, and that will take you to the Real Bridge hand record. So let me just bring that up. It's a little, I'll just refresh these so they're there for future. So this is something you can do yourselves after the game. Just wait for that to come up. It's always a bit slow when I'm using Zoom. And here is the board I wanted to look at, which was board 4. And let's just have a look at the Traveller for a minute. And you can see that the best scores were made by 2 declarers who got a top score of 680. One played it in 4 hearts plus 2, 4 hearts plus 2, but one by south, one by north. And they got the top score of 19 points there. Just below that, there were 3 people who played it in 3 no trump. They all made +2, and they got the next best scores of 14. And then below that, you can see the scores for 4 hearts +1, +1, +1, and then 3 people just made 4 hearts. And they got a poor score, of course, of only 2 out of a possible 20 points. So, you know, beginners often ask me, oh, I didn't make 4 hearts, and yet I got a very bad score. And that's the reason why, if you don't make as many tricks as everyone else. So I thought this was interesting hand, both in terms of the bidding and in terms of the play, because as you can see, only 2 people got the top score of 680. And you can also see this on this little grid here, that the best score that North-South can make is 12 tricks in hearts. Okay, so let's have a look at how this one went a few times. And I'm going to switch back to the Pinnabridge website to look through this. And it's exactly the same as you can see on RealBridge. The only thing I've done here is I've removed people's names because I don't want to embarrass anyone. So this was board 4, and this was how the bidding should have gone on this hand. North has got a balanced hand and opens 1 no trump. And if you're playing transfers, this is a suitable hand to transfer to heart. So with the 5-card heart suit, you bid 2 diamonds, your partner bids 2 hearts, and now you bid 3 no trump. The 3 no trump bid means that you have enough points for game, and it's saying that you have exactly 5 hearts. So on this hand, North here should really go to 4 hearts, and that should end the contract. So most people ended up in 4 hearts, but of those who did, only 2 made 12 tricks, and some people ended up in 3 no trump, as you can see. And I wanted to start off actually by looking at the times it was played in 3 no trump, because well, we'll see how it went where that occurred. So this was one of the times it was played. I've just removed people's names from here, and you can see they started off in 1 no trump. They bid 2 diamonds, which was a transfer to hearts. Then they bid 3 no trump. Those 4 bids are all correct, but then North passed. So North, instead of playing in an 8-card heart fit, they elected to play in 3 no trump. And I thought this was worth talking about because normally if you have an 8-card fit in a major suit and enough points for game, you're better off playing in 4 hearts or 4 spades than in 3 no trump. Now that's not guaranteed, and there are occasionally hands where maybe you'll make the same number of tricks in no trump as you would in 4 hearts here. But generally speaking, your goal is to try and find an 8-card fit and to play in that major suit if you have a fit. So North here shouldn't have passed a 3-no trump. North should have bid 4 hearts, and that's where it should have ended. Is it ever right to play in 3-no trump, even though you have an 8-card fit in a major suit? Well, it sometimes is, but it's often very hard to tell when that is. I would say there are two ideas behind sometimes playing in 3-no trump rather than 4 hearts. One is if you have a completely flat hand with no ruffing values, and the other factor would be if you think you have a lot of points. So if you think between the two hands you have, say, at least 28 points, you may find you make as many tricks in no trump and score a little better than those who played it in hearts. Now, that doesn't apply on this hand because the North hand has got ruffing values. The North hand has got a doubleton diamond, the ace and the 2. So I think this is pretty clear cut. North should bid 4 hearts on this hand rather than playing it in 3-no trump. Do interrupt me if you have any questions on that. Anyone have any questions? The other thing I wanted to look at when this was played in 3-no trump, which happened 3 times, was that it should have been held, as you can see from that little grid, to 9 tricks. It shouldn't be held to 3-no trump. But everyone who played it in 3-no trump made 11 tricks. And I just really was puzzled as to how that happened. Just to start with, if you look at the North and the South hands together, can you tell me how many top tricks Declarer has? Have a little count, unmute yourselves, there's not a poll, but count up your top tricks and tell me how many you think you've got.
11.
Yes, I think it's 11, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's, I mean, barring a terrible trump break in hearts, you're very likely to make 5 hearts,
Yeah.
2 diamonds, and 4 clubs. You've got 11 top tricks. And in fact,
Yeah.
everyone who played it in 3-no trump made 11 tricks. And this was puzzling because the opponents got off, in every case, they got off to the best lead, and they started by leading a spade. So this is one of the times it was played. They led a low spade. Their partner played the ace. They led a spade back, which was won by the jack. And then this east, instead of carrying on with spades, which seemed fairly obvious to me, they switched to a heart. They played a low heart. And now you can see the computer is saying if you lead the 2 of hearts, you're only going to make 2 tricks, which is indeed what happened. So if you were playing East-West at one of these tables, I'd be really interested to know why you didn't carry on in spades or why you think you switched to another suit. Does anyone have anything to... Can anyone shed any light on this if you played this hand last week and if you remember it? Maybe people thought they were playing in a heart contract or something. I can't really see it, but the defence should definitely take the first 4 spades and hold Declarer to 9 tricks. Anyone shed any light on what happened there? I'm really, I don't want to embarrass anyone, but I'm just really interested to know what happened there. Another time here, yeah.
Tony, my partner didn't come back a spade.
Right. Well, it's always your partner's fault, isn't it?
Well, I led the 5.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you lead the 5. That's your 4th highest. It suggests a suit where you have an honor, and I don't know why that happened. This was another time it was played again in 3-no trump, and again they got off to the best lead, which is a spade. They took their ace, and this time West switched to another suit. West switched to the Queen of Diamonds, again holding, which means you can only take 2 tricks there because Declarer's now got 11 top tricks. So, again, if your partner leads a suit and you win it, 9 times out of 10, it's right to return the suit. I suspect on this hand, maybe they thought they were playing in a heart contract and saw that void in dummy. So, maybe that explained it. But it was odd that that happened 3 times, all with the exact same result. Let's have a look at how it was played in a heart contract. Let's have a look at this one. Let me just find it. Yeah, let's have a look at this one. So, first of all, let's look at the bidding here. It was 1 no trump, and it looks like North-South here are not playing transfers, and South bid 2 hearts. Now, that is definitely the wrong bid there, because 2 of a suit in response to 1 no trump is a sign-off bid, saying you want to play it in 2 hearts. But this was misbid and misinterpreted, so they bid 2 hearts, 3 hearts, 4 hearts. They ended up in the right contract, but not really by the right means. And do interrupt me if you have any comments or thoughts on this. And this is how this one was played. So the opponent started off leading a singleton heart. Let's see what happens.
Excuse me, Tony.
Yeah.
You said it was a wrong context, but what South should have bid?
Well, we'll come on to that. I've already shown you what should South bid if you're playing transfers, okay. And we'll look in a minute what South should bid if you're not playing transfers. So here they led a heart. They played a heart from dummy, and they won that one. And this declarer started off reasonably well because they started off in diamonds. Now, if we just rewind the hand for a minute, let's go right back to the beginning and look at it, how you would play this in a heart contract. So you're in 4 hearts, which is a good contract here. And I'd like you to tell me, looking at the north hand and the south hand, how many tricks you would expect to lose altogether. So in a suit contract, we normally count our losers. Looking at it from the point of view of the south hand, would anyone like to tell us how many losers you have altogether there?
One.
Well, you've got a spade loser.
Yeah.
Only 1.
And you've got a diamond loser potentially, but you're going to avoid that diamond loser. How?
Because dummy has got 1.
How are you going to avoid the diamond loser?
You can trump 1.
You can trump 1.
Rough it.
Yeah, you're going to rough it, and that's of course what you should do to make 12 tricks, which is what a couple of people did. But this is what happened this time. They won the first trick. They started on diamonds. Probably better to play the ace rather than the king here, because otherwise you'll get stuck in the wrong hand somewhat. But anyway, they played a diamond. They played another diamond over to the ace. And then they played a club, which looks like they're trying to get back to their hand. Okay. And then they really made a mistake here, because instead of playing another diamond to rough it, they played a spade. And I think that singleton caused quite a few declarers to think about roughing spades. And roughing spades means that you're roughing in the hand with a long trump suit. And as I've been saying a lot of times, it rarely benefits you to rough in the long hand. But this is what happened. They played a spade. The opponents got in and they played a club back. Okay, so they got a club in. Now they played the diamond, and they were actually able, they did rough this one with the jack, although because they've now roughed with the jack, it's kind of weakened their trump holding. So they didn't draw trumps yet. They tried to rough another spade, and although you can rough spades, you're again roughing in the long hand. It's not doing you a bit of good. They played a club back, and because they hadn't drawn trumps here, that was roughed. Okay, the opponents played a spade back, and declarer roughed that one. And I don't know if you can see that because Declarer's been ruffing, their sort of trump holding is a little bit weaker than it should be. So they played another heart, which they won. Then they played a spade, and Declarer was able to ruff this one, but there's still a trump out. Okay, so they ruffed with the king, and now they're going to lose the last heart. Okay, so this Declarer just managed 10 tricks, and really that was down to ruffing spades in the long hand and not drawing trumps, basically, not drawing trumps when you can. Anyone have any comments or questions on that? Let's have a look at it played another time. This was played, this time they made +1 on this one. And I also want to look at the bidding on this one. So here the bidding went 1 no trump, 2 diamonds, 2 hearts, 4 hearts. And that again is the wrong bidding sequence. This is South here should be bidding 3 no trump to show a 5 card suit. Transferring and then jumping to 4 hearts is how you show enough points per game with the 6 card suit. And you're basically saying, you know, we have an 8 card trump fit, regardless of whether you have 2 trumps or more trumps. And I saw quite a few people who were playing in 4 hearts and playing transfers did not really bid this correctly. So if you made a mistake in various ways in terms of transfer bidding, do have a look at my handouts. I've got a handout on transfers in detail, and in particular it's got this page here that shows a summary of how you should be bidding transfers. And this is really something you should be very familiar with, so you never sort of bid them incorrectly. So anyway, that's what they did anyway. As I said, they ended up in the best contract here of 4 hearts, as it turned out, and they managed to make 1 over trick. Let's see how this one went. Well, the opponent started off with a club here. It's being played by North here as Declarer. So Declarer won that, and Declarer starts off quite well by playing diamonds. You've got to ruff a diamond here to make 12 tricks, so that's what they seem to be doing here. They played a diamond again to the king, and then they played a diamond here, and here they made a slight mistake here because they're about to ruff with the jack instead of the 5, and normally that would be fine, but on this hand you get a bad trump break. The trumps divide 4-1, and because of that, if you ruff with the jack here, you will probably lose a trump trick later on. Now, ruffing high does give you a certain amount of protection against the diamonds being badly divided. If the diamonds were divided, for example, 6-2, then it might be a good idea to ruff high, or it would get over ruffed. So it's a case of which is the better play here. And actually, the chance of the 4-1 division in hearts is quite a lot more than the diamonds being divided 6-2, for example. I did look this up. The 4-1 division in hearts is 28%. So that's more likely to happen than the diamonds divide. So this Declarer almost did the right thing, but they ruffed high. Then they started drawing trumps, and they get a bad news about the trump division, and now I think you can see they're always going to lose 1 trump because they've got the 10 and the 9 still out. So whatever happens now, they've got a trump to lose, and that's what happened, and they made 11 tricks. So good try on that one. Do interrupt me if you have any questions. And then finally, I just want to look at one that was bid and played well, and that was, let me just find the right one, was this one. As I said, only 2 people made 12 tricks on it, And this is one of the times it was bid well. This pair were not playing transfers, so to answer a question I was asked earlier, how should the bidding go? You open one no trump, and if you're not playing transfers and you have a 5-card major, you bid 3 hearts. So that's a forcing bid, saying I've got exactly a 5-card suit, and North bid 4 hearts, which ended the contract. So this is how you should be bid if you're not playing transfers. And how did this one go? Let's just go through it. They led the Queen of Diamonds, which I like. Declarer here won the Ace of Diamonds and played a diamond back to the King. And then before drawing trumps, they ruffed the 10 of Diamonds. They ruffed here with a 5, which turned out to be the right thing to do. And now all they need to do is draw trumps. They start with the Ace and the Jack, winning the shorthand, of course. They discover a slightly bad trump break for 1 trump break, but that's not a problem. They get back to their hand with a club, draw the last 2 trumps, draw the Queen there, and then they're going to make the rest of the clubs. At the end, they're just going to lose 1 spade. So let's just go through it all to the end. They've played well here, and at the end, they have to give up a spade. So that was relatively straightforward, played in the right way, but obviously a lot of people didn't manage that. But that's how it should be bid if you're not playing transfers, and that's how it should be played. You just basically need to ruff a diamond before you draw trumps. Okay, so that was really all I wanted to look at this week. I did have some hands-on bridge webs to show you, but that's not available. So does anyone have any comments or questions about that?
So, Tony, did it work out better for them because they were not playing transfer?
It didn't matter really.
Okay.
I mean, if you're playing, there was the other time they made 12 tricks. I think it was this one here, and no, that's the one we looked at. Let's see, there was another one, this one here. This one was not bid correctly, but they got to the right contract. So 1 no trump, 2 diamonds, 2 hearts. This hand bid 3 hearts. That's not the right bid. The first 3 bids were fine, but 3 hearts is an invitational bid showing enough points to invite game and a 6-card suit. So 3 hearts is wrong there, but you ended up in the right contract, 4 hearts. And
Yeah.
this declarer, I think, played it pretty much exactly the same. They got a lead of a diamond, and they won the 2 diamonds, and then they ruffed the diamond. So they played it pretty much identically, and now it was almost card for card exactly the same. They now start drawing trumps, and then get back to their hand with a club, so they can finish drawing trumps. So only 2 declarers played it that way to make their 12 tricks.
But they were both south. Declarers were both south, yes. And that made a difference.
This one was played by North.
All right, okay, but
yeah, because of the transfers.
Yeah. I was just thinking that West would lead diamond, whereas if it was East, it would not lead diamond, and therefore you wouldn't necessarily make 12.
It doesn't matter what you lead. I mean, I think if I rewind this right to the beginning, as it turns out, East was on lead. Let's go right back to the beginning. Yeah, East was on lead and led the 3 of diamonds, which is a slightly unusual lead. I mean, East doesn't have a clear lead here, but they did lead a diamond. But it doesn't matter what you lead. Whatever you lead, the most the defense can do is take 1 spade, and then you'll get in, and you'll have enough trump that you can play the Ace King of Diamonds and ruff.
Okay. Okay. Thanks.
So this one, I don't think it really mattered. I mean, I sometimes say to people, if you're not sure about transfers, then don't play them, because I see so many mistakes around the bidding of transfers, that it seems like a lot of people are not really that familiar with them, or forget exactly how to play them. Okay. Any other comments or questions on that?
Can I ask one question?
Go ahead, Shova.
Just a general. If North has bid one no trump and South doesn't want to show that I've got a stronger hand, and instead of 2 club, South does 3 club, can the North do transfer?
No. So if North bids one no trump and South
And 3 clubs.
3 clubs is a forcing bid, showing a good club suit.
Okay, it's not a statement.
No, 2 clubs is Stayman, 3 clubs is not Stayman.
All right.
All right. Anyway, the bidding sheet, my bidding sheet has got all the basic bidding, but it doesn't include transfers. So the answers to that question and others are on that bidding sheet. Anyone have any other questions? We'll end the talk there, apart from asking if anyone needs a partner for this evening game on the Real Bridge. So if you don't need a partner, you can go now. Otherwise, let me just stop sharing my screen, and we'll end the talk there. But let me know if you need a partner. Anyone on here who needs a partner?
Who needs